Hey, it's Tim Melvin here. It is 3:35 on the 13th of November. I'm giving you the time because I just want to point out that I'm actually one of the first out. I gotta fix that there. There we go, fix that. First out with an emergency broadcast video because you know what? I looked on my screen and I've got a couple emails that indicate to me that the stock market is actually down today. This is shocking, stunning news. Probably never happened before in all the history of mankind, except on a pretty regular basis. And CNBC's got some of those very cool headlines. Dow drops more than 800 heads for worst day in over a month. I'm sorry, guys. Look, it's really hard to take all of this seriously. We're down 1.67%. Yeah, it's not a lot of fun. It's some larger stocks are just getting absolutely hammered out there. But two things. One, it's only 1.67%. As we sit here today, let me just pull this up here and get the exact number for you guys. Um, we are 2.5% off of 52-week highs, which would be all-time highs at this point. We're 40% up off the 52-week low in the S&P 500. To suggest that this is time for a panic is absolutely ridiculous. Now, we did trade below the 20-day moving average so far today. Let's see, that's up at around 680. I will probably hold that today. Who knows on the SPY? Um, Traders are going to make a lot of noise about that. Lost the 20-day, and it's how many times have we lost? One, two, three, four, five. We've lost it already 5 times since July. This is not an abnormal event. If you're not a very short-term trader, don't put too much stock in the 20-day. We're a long way from the trend line that I consider to be of the most important. That's going to be back down at around 649, 650 on the SPY. So again, quite a ways to go. The other thing that I want to point out, first off, it's not a big deal so far. Secondly, I've been telling you for some time now that the next 10 years probably not going to be great. I can't tell you what's going to happen in the short term. Will we have a crash and a recovery or a melt up and a pullback or a sideways market? But we're trading at a 40 cap ratio, a little over 29 times trailing 12-month earnings, almost 24 times. I'm sorry, almost 23. Yeah, no, almost 24 times the forward earnings estimates on the S&P 500. None of those suggest that anything good is going to happen anytime soon. Market cap to GDP ratio, it's over 200. Right? We're talking 1999 type grossly overvalued market. Now, in 1999, it was all based, as you might remember, on the fact that the internet was changing everything. The way we shopped, the way we traveled, the way we did everything was going to change, and we would have productivity leaps from the internet. Now, a lot of that came true. But most of the companies that were involved at the internet at the time failed. And I think AI is going to be exactly the same way. Quantum computing, apps. Well, first off, those stocks, along with the new nuclear stocks, they're years away from even revenue. So for all of the hype to start to pull back in a little bit, frankly, is not all that surprising. As in, I told you that we were overvalued, credit spreads were too tight, volatility was too low, and that set the stage for some nastiness. Does this continue? I don't know. Neither does anybody else. If you want to bet that way, you want to get short the S&P, and you want to use a really tight stop, just like every professional trader and trend follower that's ever made a whole bunch of money in the market has done. If you've got a strong conviction, you've got a reason for that conviction, put your trade on, keep your stops tight. Risk control is probably way more important than actually being right. The best traders, the ones that I know that have really made just tons and tons of money, they're 50% of the time. The conviction is they make a ton when they are right, and they manage their losses when they don't. So this is it's not a big deal. Okay. If anything, I want to see it go further. And I've been blunt about that. It's the value investor's prayer, please, Lord, just one more crash and I won't waste the money this time. Um, eh, to see banks get back down to where we could buy, I mean, it's like 35 banks when we look today, trading anywhere near the valuations that we want to pay. If we could get that up to 50 to 100 banks like we've seen in previous sell-offs, that would be fantastic. When we run our screens for deep value stocks, we can only find a handful of stocks. We'd like to have bucketfuls of stocks. That's the type of market where you can get rich in small banks, in small cap deep value, even the recovery in small cap momentum off that kind of market low, um, can make an enormous amount of money. So we'll see where credit conditions and credit spreads go today. Um, this is not something that we have not been telling you rather consistently. And that's me and the whole research team, both cats, both dogs. I mean, we've been on top of this and we've been telling you that there was way too much complacency in the market and things could go bad. Maybe this is things going bad. Maybe it's not. But things going bad in the stock market, we always get upset. Now, if our favorite store has a sale, we don't get upset, but when the stock market has a sale, we all get very concerned that it was the end of the world because we're usually overexposed to the wrong stuff when that happens. Now, I will note that the MOVE index, the fixed income volatility index, I track that really close because fixed income and credit are usually what calls the tune in the equity market. They're up a little today, but they're pretty calm. And they're well off of the lows um, of just here just a few days ago. So we'll see. It's still when I look at the 81 on the MOVE index, that is well below, say, the 140 level that we hit back in April. So um, time will tell if this is truly an emergency, but an emergency is a buying opportunity unless you're caught long and too stubborn to get out. Now, for subscribers, we've talked about this endlessly. I think sometimes you get tired of me talking about it. For those of you in some of the more aggressive strategies, we have talked about hedging small cap exposure. We've talked very recently about talking bank exposure. Um, we've not been too shy about suggesting that hedging the income um, exposure might not be a terrible idea. Although I think the income stuff is probably where you want to be if you're, reasonably conservative investor, because I do think there's a good chance that fixed income and REITs outperform large cap stocks. You know, everywhere you look, every smart person I look at them and go, that's a really smart guy. They're all saying the same things in here: fixed income, small cap, deep value, and international value. I agree with them, and their fact that they agree with me just reflects how truly intelligent they are. You you've got to learn to look at this as an opportunity. It's not an emergency. It's hopefully an opportunity being created. So anyway, I wanted to get out with my emergency broadcast because everybody else is going to have one, and they're going to tell you exactly what you need to do and all the things that need to happen for your strategy to be okay and for your future and the future of your family and your children's children. These things that you have to do and act right now. And I'm just going to tell you that I've gotten a peek at the recent new issues in books. I just finished the new John Irving. And I feel like John's just kind of rewritten the same book the last 3 or 4 times, but that's okay. He gets passed for all of his earlier body of work. But there's a whole bunch of new stuff, and I'm going to load it all up on my Kindle. My wife has Blood the Night, so she'll be out with some friends. And I'm going to have some chili, and then I'm going to eat corn and read books while maybe play classical music or something. That's my evening. That's how I'm going to deal with this emergency. Whatever it is you like to do, I suggest you do the same because it's not an emergency. It is hopefully a buying opportunity being created, and all that cash that I've been telling all of you to hold for quite some time will get to put to work at really attractive prices. So I'll let you go now. There's going to be about 15 to 20 other emergency broadcast videos out over the next few hours. Hopefully you're too busy reading a book or watching a ball game or something equally interesting and entertaining and ignore all those. But just in case, I wanted to be there first. Have a great night, everybody. We'll see what tomorrow brings us. Hopefully, much lower short-term prices. That would be party time as far as I'm concerned. Have a great night, everybody.